Now we can start. It is going live.
All right. Okay. So thank you so much. So we have today the esteemed panelist on our program, Brigadier Hemant Mahajan. Welcome, sir, on this YouTube live, and we appreciate you spending some time. A little bit of introduction about our esteemed guest today. So, Brigadier Hemant joined Army in 1973. That's when he got into IMA, and then he was commissioned into the Maratha Light Infantry, 1975. He's served in different CI counterinsurgency operations, including Op-Rakshak, Operation Parakram. And to his credit, he's also been a directing staff or a DS instructor position within the military institution. In addition, he's an accomplished officer with the GOCNC Commendation Card and Yudh Seva Medal to his credit during his service. And today, we bring him here to speak about the current situations and the role of Indian Army, the changing nature of warfare, and especially keeping in mind how exactly the non-military citizens of the country can participate in the warfare in supporting and protecting the interest of the country. So with that, sir, I will invite you. I know that the presentation you're not able to share, but I would invite you to talk about the material that you had prepared, and we will take questions as we go. This is about 30 to 40 minutes of your conversation that we'd like to hear, and I would request the participants to share your questions in the chat, and we will interject, sir, with the questions so that we can receive as feedback and answers. Over to you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much, Major Himanshu, and the others who spoke to me. The topic that I have chosen for myself today is India's national security and the challenges that have changed since last 75 years. So I'll hit upon the topic straight away. But before I start the main topic, I would like to tell you that I'm nearly 15 years into my retirement, and I was an infantry officer. So as an infantry officer, one always spent his lifetime on the Indo-China border, Indo-Pakistan border, Northeast, Manipur, then let's say Jammu Kashmir, etc. So one was always in a combat. However, things did change as we went into service. I joined the army in 1973 as a cadet at the Indian Military Academy, Dehradun, and I'm proud to tell you that my company commander in IMA Dehradun, in a company called Singhgad Company or Singhgad Company. Singhgad is a fort in Maharashtra, which Tanaji Malusare captured from the Mughals, was Major Hoshiar Singh Paramveer Chakra. He was the only living Paramveer Chakra Vijeta at that point of time, and he was a company commander. And what he taught us in IMA Dehradun is something which can be spoken for hours together. Today, after so many years, after having served in the army and served under different people and different instructors and teachers and whatnot, you still feel that you're the all-time great as far as minor tactics were concerned. What he taught us about the platoon tactics, the company tactics, is something which we still haven't forgotten, and that has really helped us in a long way. After passing out from the IMA, I joined my battalion, 7 Maratha Light Infantry. The battalion had fought in the 1971 war. So therefore, everybody, when I joined, used to talk about the 71 war. It took part in Bangladesh at a place called Pachagad. They fought two battles, Battle of Pachagad and Battle of Kamdanagar Bridge, in which we lost more than 150 soldiers were lost there. And it was a very bloody operation, but more of it some other time. The fact remains that uh, entire brigade surrendered to my battalion, 7 Maratha Light Infantry at Pachagad. I wasn't there, but I heard a lot of stories about it. But maybe those war stories some other time. Okay, now I'll come down to my topic, that is the changing nature of warfare. And in between, I'll interject myself about my own experiences in this changing nature of warfare. 1947, India became independent, and we had the first war with Pakistan, which went on for nearly 1 year. 1947 war, and Pakistan wanted to capture the state of Jammu and Kashmir. Indian Army landed in Kashmir just right in time at the Srinagar airfield, and the first Paramveer Chakra of war was won there by Major Somnath Sharma. And then how the battle was fought and all, I won't talk about it. But I must mention two people here. There was no political sort of control of this battle. For first 6 months of the war, the commanders on both the sides, that is Pakistan and China, were from British Army. So therefore, it was more like a friendly match that was going on there. It was only later part of 47 when the first Indian Army commander became the chief of army staff, General Cariappa. He became the chief of army staff. Then that is when the actual battle as such has started. And there was the 47-48 battle will take a long time to cover. But I'll just mention about two people. One is General Thimaiya, who he was the person who saved the state of Ladakh and Jammu and Kashmir, and how the Indian Army landed in Ladakh, etc., is a big story. Some of you who are interested in, who may be interested in that, may go on my YouTube channel and have a look at the men who saved Ladakh, and General Thimaiya was one person. But one small anecdote would do. During that time, there was no road to Ladakh; there was only a beaten track. General Thimaiya wanted to go there because Pakistani army was advancing from Muzaffarabad, etc. So he went to the Air Force representative who was there, one air commodore, and he told Meher Singh, if I remember the name correctly, and he told Meher Singh that Air Force is required immediately. We have to lift our troops and take them and land them at Leh advanced landing ground, as it was called at that point of time. There was no proper airfield at that point of time. So just a grassland was there. So Meher Singh told him that it is not possible, it's impossible, because firstly, my aircrafts are not pressurized. They cannot fly over a height of 11,000 or 12,000 feet. You have to cross the Zojila Pass and then go there. And there is no airstrip there. It is not protected. There are all the problems. Will be breaking all the rules of Air Force if you land there. So General Thimaiya told him, no, without Air Force, the Indian Army just won't be able to reach, because walking to Leh will take you anything up to 14 days, and Pakistanis would have captured Leh by that time. So he said, okay, in the first sortie in which we are going to break all rules of air warfare, I will go there, so that if something happens, then I will be the first casualty of the war. So the moment Meher Singh heard this, he told General Thimaiya, okay, I'll break all the rules, and if you are going to be in the first sortie, then the first sortie will be piloted by me. Rest is the history. Air Commodore Meher Singh himself piloted the aircraft. They landed up on the airfield just in time before the Pakistani army landed there. And there are famous photographs of the battle available there. When they landed up at that grassland where there was no airstrip, the locals came running there. They had never seen an aircraft before, so therefore they thought it was some kind of a flying horse. So they thought that since the horse had come flown over a long distance, they wanted to give it grass and they wanted to give it water. So there is a photograph available where the locals are feeding the nose of the aircraft with grass and trying to give water to it, because they are kind-hearted people. They wanted that horse to be looked after. The rest is the history. The Indian Army landed there. Thereafter, Leh was came under our control. We started advancing towards Muzaffarabad, which is the capital of Pakistani occupied Kashmir, but we were stopped there. Now, to keep the story short of 47 war, Indian Army would have easily reached Muzaffarabad, and the entire Jammu and Kashmir would have been captured. But the political leadership at that point of time decided, no, we should stop and let peace prevail there. And where Indian Army stopped is now called as the LOC, line of control. Okay, that was 47-48 war for you. The next one was 1962 war, which was fought with the Chinese. You should be aware that there was no Indian army on the Chinese border before 1961, and the army which was brought there in 61, later part of 61, October or November, actually came from Punjab, and the border was not guarded by the Indian army. The border was being looked after by the foreign ministry. 1962 battle with China, just about one division of Indian Army fought the war in Arunachal Pradesh. That was four division, fourth infantry division, and one brigade fought the war in Ladakh. So overall, one division, that is approximately 15 to 20,000 troops, fought the battle in Arunachal, and a brigade, approximately 3 to 4,000 troops, fought the battle in Ladakh. And the battle was lost, and people think it was a defeat. Well, it was not a military defeat, it was a defeat of the political leadership at that point of time, who decided to stop the war even before using the Indian army. At that point of time, we had a standing strength of about 4.5 lakhs of Indian army was there. Barely 25,000 troops were used. 90% of the Indian army was never used. The Indian Navy was never used. The Indian Air Force was never used. So frankly speaking, when you are not used 90% of the Indian Army, you are not used 100% of the Air Force, you are not used 100% of the Navy, you can't say the armed forces lost the war. The war was lost in the minds of the political leadership at that point of time. More about it, if you are interested, go on my YouTube. 62 war has been covered in more detail there on my YouTube channel for those who are interested as to how this war was fought. Leave 62 war. Immediately within next 2.5 years started the 65 war. Pakistan thought that this was the right time to sort out India and take away Kashmir from there. Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, who was the prime minister during 62, could not withstand the shock of 62, and he died in 63. And the power changed in the political party. There was infighting in the political party as to who should become the prime minister. So they could never come to a conclusion. So finally, a lightweight, political lightweight, that is Lal Bahadur Shastri, was selected as the prime minister. And the state from where I come, state of Maharashtra, Mr. Y.B. Chauhan, who was the chief minister of Maharashtra during 62, he was chosen to become the defense minister of the country immediately after October 62, and he was the defense minister. Now, immediately, Pakistan thought Pakistan had already allied itself with the United States. It had joined a military alliance called the CENTO. It had the most modern tanks, modern aircraft. Modern tanks were the Patton tanks. The modern aircraft were the Sabre jets. While Indian Army used the Centurions and the Shermans, which were Second World War, and no army in the world was using these tanks. The aircraft that we had with us were the NAT aircraft. The NAT aircraft were also not used by any country. But 65 war, the Indian Army fought well, but there came a crisis at one point of time when the Pakistani tanks were advancing towards Aknur. So Mr. The chief of army staff at that point of time, General J.N. Chaudhary, came running to the defense minister and he said that we have to use the air force to stop the Pakistani advance. Otherwise, the only road from Aknur to Punch will get cut off. Mr. Chauhan said, well, this is not under my powers. I have to convene the parliament. Parliament is to take a decision to use the air force because this is the first time an air force would be used in an active mode after independence, after 1947. So General Chaudhary told him, sorry, there is no time for that. You just have to take a decision and the air force has to just come. Otherwise, the road Aknur Punch will get cut off. Y.B. Chauhan thought for a minute, a great thinker, great leader he was. He had no background at all of the armed forces. He said, go ahead. The Indian Air Force came into skies within about 40 minutes, and the Pakistani advance towards Cham or towards Aknur was stopped. Another serious situation came 2 days later when again the offensive resumed. Now again, General J.N. Chaudhary came to the Prime Minister. There's a crisis. The only way to stop Pakistani army from advancing inside India is to open up a second front in the area of Punjab, that is in the area of Khemkaran, etc. Now, Mr. Lal Bahadur Shastri said, no, I can't take this decision. I have to convene the parliament. With parliament consent, we can go ahead. Again, General Chaudhary told him, sorry, there is no time. You just have to start an offensive against Pakistan, hit them, open up a second front so that the pressure in area of Cham, Punch, Rajouri is reduced. Now, Lal Bahadur Shastri did not have any military background, but he was a man with a wise head over his shoulder. He said, go ahead. And that was the first time in the history of independent India that the Indian army crossed the international border and went towards Sialkot, went towards Lahore. Great battles were fought, etc. more of it some other time, and the Pakistani offensive was stopped. So when the ceasefire came, we had captured a lot of area, and the Indian Army was threatening Lahore, which was the second most important city of Pakistan. The Indian Army had won that war. The world put pressure on them, and the Indian political leadership was called to Tashkent, and the Tashkent peace talks took place there under the Soviet Union at Tashkent. Uh, uh, Mr. Y.B. Chavan and Lal Bahadur Shastri from our side, and Pakistani Field Marshal Ayub Khan and his defense minister and his foreign minister Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, and with the Russians, or at that point of time called as the USSR, supervising over the top. Tashkent agreement was signed, but Lal Bahadur Shastri died in Tashkent either because of a heart attack or he was poisoned. Just some time back, about 2 years back, there was a film which came up called the Tashkent Files, in which they have talked about suspicious circumstances under which Lal Bahadur Shastri died. Again, more of it, if you go on my YouTube, you can have a look at it. But definitely, it was not a natural death. That much is very, very clear. 65 war was won by the Indian Army, and the bad name that had come because of 62 war was wiped out. Now, then came the 71 war, when elections in East Pakistan and West Pakistan, 1 crore refugees came inside India after Pakistani army cracked down in the then East Pakistan. Mujibur Rahman would have become the Prime Minister of Pakistan because he had won more number of seats. Zulfikar Ali Bhutto and the West Pakistan, dominated by the army, did not want it. So then came the serious situation of Pakistani butcher General Tika Khan killing more than about 40 lakh citizens of then East Pakistan, out of which 30 lakhs were Hindus. Then started a big exodus towards India. And Indira Gandhi, who was the prime minister at that point of time, got worried. So he told the chief of this was in the month of April when the crisis reached its peak. And Mrs. Gandhi called then General Sam Manekshaw and said, start offensive straight away because we cannot take more than 1 crore refugees. Field Marshal Sam Manekshaw is a military legend, and we can talk about him some other time. But he said it's not possible to start any offensive at that point of time because there are hundreds of reasons. The most important being that your defensive preparedness is not there. Tanks are off road, the guns are off road. We have to shift troops from the Chinese border. We don't have any troops which can be used for an offensive on the on the East Pakistan or the present Bangladesh border. We can remove troops from the Chinese border only when the snow starts, which will be in the month of October, November, when the passes will get closed and China will not be able to open up a second front against India. So the right time to start war is November end, or in still better in December. Indira Gandhi was very angry. She said, "No, I'm going to sack you, and I'm going to use somebody else who will fight for me." So she ordered the BSF. The BSF was manning the border, and the BSF chief at that point of time was one Mr. K.F. Rustumji. He was an IPS officer. So he said, "I'll go and do the job." So the BSF sent a brigade worth of troops inside Bangladesh, got caught there. The Indian Army had to get that brigade back, and Mrs. Indira Gandhi in 2 days realized that the BSF or anybody else could never do it. So then she told Field Marshal Manekshaw, "Okay, you start preparing for the war and tell me when you are ready." So by December, the preparations were complete. How they were prepared, how Indian Army prepared for the war, that will be a separate story. But suddenly on 3rd of December, even before the Indian Army had decided to attack, the Pakistani Air Force carried out a strike on India on the Western Front. That at that point of time, Mrs. Indira Gandhi was not in Delhi. Communications were not as good as it is today, and one can talk from any corner to any corner. So it was left to Field Marshal Sam Manekshaw to decide as to what decision to take. He said, "We will start the war," and the war started immediately after that. Now, it was a lightning campaign which took place in which the greatest military victory of India after 1947 was scored, and Pakistan was split into two parts. There were many heroes. Obviously, the important ones being Field Marshal Sam Manekshaw and his towering personality, how he commanded the Indian Army. Not only Army, he was more or less the de facto chief of defense staff at that point of time. He commanded the Air Force as well as Navy, and because of his towering personality, nobody could question him. So the importance of chief of defense staff was felt at that point of time, and it was Field Marshal who said that India requires a chief of defense staff. That was the first time this word of chief of defense staff, which General Bipin Rawat became some time back, ever came into being. Okay. Anyway, the war was won. There were many field commanders. I must mention one of General Sagat Singh. He was the first corps commander to have reached Dhaka, and he was a great soldier. Unfortunately, he did not get his due. It was thought that maybe after this war he'll become the Eastern Army commander, and General Jagjit Singh Arora, who was the Eastern Army commander, or GOCC Eastern Army or Eastern Command, will become the chief. But well, the political leadership thought that they were too popular, and both of them were removed. I mean, they were not given the promotion. Instead, General Beur, who was a non-entity at that point of time, was made a chief. But it was the greatest victory ever scored. Now, this is where the topic today is changing nature of war. Till 71, all the wars that we fought were the wars which were conventional in nature. Indian Army fought the Pakistani Army in both in 47 and 62. Then in 71, it was the Indian Air Force which fought the Pakistani Air Force. The Indian Navy did carry out a raid on the Karachi harbor, and the Karachi harbor was destroyed. But Pakistan in 71 realized that it was not possible to fight Indian Army in a conventional war. So thereafter, they started an unconventional war after 1971. The unconventional war was started by General Zia, who was the chief of who later became the Chief of Army Staff of Pakistani Army, and thereafter the military ruler. The name operation was called as Operation Topaz or Operation Karakoram. I will use the name called Operation Karakoram. Operation Karakoram had three parts. One was K1, K2, and K3. K1 is starting terrorism in the state of Punjab. K2 is starting terrorism in the state of Jammu and Kashmir, and K3 is starting terrorism in the rest of India. So it was basically years from 1972 till 1980 were used trying to infiltrate terrorists and their supporters in political parties, in police, in administrative services all over. And in 1980, suddenly the state of Punjab went into flames. What is called as the Khalistani terrorism started off somewhere in 80. I was a part of, as a part of Indian Army, we were a part of that. I have taken part in Operation Blue Star, in Operation Rakshak, which followed thereafter. During Operation Rakshak, our task was to carry out anti-infiltration operations, that is sealing the borders and not letting terrorists from Pakistan come inside the state of Punjab. We were quite successful there. And then also uh, anybody who had come inside based on actionable intelligence carrying out operation against them. And in one such operation, I can pay tribute to my late friend Major Anurag Naurial. He was the brigade major of our brigade, 29th Brigade to be precise, in Firozpur, and there were six terrorists after whom we had gone. A coordinated search was taking place there, and suddenly they came out of a gurudwara and wanted to break the corridor, and it is where Major Anurag Naudal tried to stop it physically, and he was martyred there. The six terrorists were killed, but Major Anurag Naudal, my dear friend, we lost him at an exactly place called near Khemkaran. There's a place called Burakuna. If any one of you is from Punjab, you would possibly know it. The Indian Army did a good job in Punjab. Thereafter, the police, which had become defunct, also did a good job thereafter, because they knew Indian Army would be there. And by 1990, the back of terrorism was brokered in Punjab. Again, till 1980, Kashmir was very quiet, and all the beautiful places in Kashmir, tourism and movies, etc., used to be shot. So those times, if you ask your parents, movies like Ek Ful Do Mali, Sharmila Tagore, Shami Kapoor, all the shooting used to take place in Punjab. take place in Kashmir, and Kashmir was called as the paradise of this thing. I served in Kashmir nearly 4 tenures. So first tenure, it was really a paradise when we went to the line of actual control. But later tenures, we spent our time in only carrying out anti-terrorist and anti-infiltration operations in the state of Jammu and Kashmir. My battalion was in the area of Punch and Rajouri. If I had shown you a presentation, that is where we killed about 84 terrorists over a period of about 3 years. My unit, 7 Maratha Light Infantry, got a unit citation. A unit citation is like a collective gallantry award, and how it is given, etc., that we can talk some other time. But that is the highest as far as the Indian Army is concerned. We got 18. We got also a unit appreciation from the GOCs in Northern Command. We got 18 personal gallantry awards, including one for myself, that is with the Seva Medal. Uh, we did a lot of good job thereafter. Later, I commanded brigade at a place called Krishna Ghati. Those of you from Kashmir would know that we have a Punch district, and next to Punch is a place called Krishna Ghati. Again, there the brigade was job was the same, stopping infiltration from Pakistan, carrying out trans-LOC raids, carrying out anti-terrorist operations inside. And here I would like to remember my one of my subordinates from 10 Sikela, late Major James Thomas. Uh, Talking about Punch will take its own time. No time for talking about what happened there. A lot of activity, a lot of anti-terrorist operations we carried out, and the brigade did a wonderful job. 10 Sikela correction, one Jackery got a unit citation, 10 Sikela just missed it, and Major James Thomas, one of the officers of 10 Sikela, got the highest award, uh, 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 if I remember the year correctly, in 2004. I think 2004 to 2006. 6, I was commanding the brigade at Krishna Ghati. He was martyred in this operation, in which 8 terrorists were killed. And the highest award of 2005, if I remember the dates correctly, was given to late Major James Thomas of 10 Sikhalai. There were many more awards, but purely because of lack of time, we cannot talk about it. So this was anti-terrorist operations in Punjab. Punjab anti-terrorist operations being carried out in the state of Jammu and Kashmir. Also, we spent a fair amount of time on the Chinese border. Thereafter, northeast, did carry out anti-terrorist operations, especially in two areas. One was in the state of Assam, and secondly was in the area of Manipur. A lot of actions took place, a lot of casualties suffered. We killed a lot of terrorists, but we can't talk. There is no time to talk about in detail about it. Now, this four issues, that is terrorism in Punjab, terrorism in state of Jammu and Kashmir, terrorism in other part of the countries. 1993, you would remember that Pakistanis started. That was the first time that the bomb blast took place outside the state of J&K, outside the states of Northeast, in rest of India. And after 93, regular bomb blast started, terrorism started in Bombay, in Pune, bomb blast in Delhi, in Calcutta, in Varanasi. That went on and on and on and on and on. Now, to come down to the next phase of the warfare, what had happened was that as far as state of Jammu and Kashmir was concerned, again the back of insurgency was broken, back of terrorism was broken there, and it is said that at any point of time today in the state of Jammu and Kashmir, there are about 150 to 200 terrorists are there. They don't have the guts to confront the Indian army. They remain hiding on the ranges of Pir Panjal or on the higher reaches of the mountains, and they engage only in killing the soft targets. Which are the soft targets? Soft targets in J&K are the Hindus and the Sikhs who are there, women, teachers, migrant labor, which has come to work in Srinagar or places like Shopia, etc. So that is what they are doing. They don't have the capacity to carry out any terrorist strike, but soft targets, yes, that they are carrying out. Now, in between, what happened was the 2014 elections. Another government came into power, and this government, call it the Modi government, has been very proactive as far as the national security is concerned. when a similar terrorist strike took place in Uri, in which we lost 18 soldiers. Thereafter, we had the first surgical strike in which Indian Army went across all along the LOC at 9 separate places, and more than about 80 terrorists were killed. This has also been converted into a movie. I'm sure you would have seen this movie on the OTT platforms, etc. Uh, uh, then thereafter, another terrorist attack took place at Pulwama, in which we lost 44 CRPF soldiers, and that is where the second surgical strike took place when the Indian Air Force went inside at Balakot, and about 270, 280 terrorists were killed. Now, this is where Pakistani got a shock of their life, because up till now a theory was propagated by many strategic thinkers in India. I repeat the word, please listen to it carefully. In India, I'm not talking of theories of Pakistan. Pakistan can have any theories. They were strategic thinkers in India, political parties in India, who would say Pakistan will carry out terror attacks in India, but however, we should not start a war against Pakistan, because Pakistan is a nuclear power state. And what happens if they use their nuclear weapons? So Pakistan could carry out strikes all over India whenever they wanted to, and we would do nothing about it. Okay. Now the government said, okay, let's see, we will carry out a strike against Pakistan. So two strikes were carried out in Pakistan. Then after all that stupid debate stopped. In fact, I was a part of many debates, and I have been on the TV at that. I retired in 2009, and this government till 2014. Any time a terrorist strike took place, we used to come on the TV and start arguing as to what should be done. So they said, no, 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 how can you attack Pakistan? I had said at that point of time, Pakistan, we should not attack because they have nuclear weapons. But our nuclear weapons, Pakistan is not bothered. So what are you worried about? We also should utilize our armed forces. And why should we not use the armed forces? If at all the nuclear weapons are not a weapons for war, they are a weapons for some kind of a deterrent, some kind of a this thing. Because only twice nuclear weapons have been used, and that was also in Second World War, used by USA against Japan in Nagasaki and Hiroshima. Well, theory of nuclear weapons some other time, but 2014 the government decided to act, and thereafter Pakistan got a shock, and then they realized that it's not going to be easy now to carry out terrorism. So now terrorism in J&K is at a very low level. Now what is happening now is that they started, and this is where now China comes into play. China used to keep on carrying out a lot of bulldozing actions. General Bipin Rawat called it salami slicing. They would enter into our area, and Indian troops were told not to open fire, because government at that point of time, between, if I remember the years correctly, between 2004 and 2009, carried out four agreements with China. We said peace and tranquility, meaning any problem taking place on the border, Indian armed forces or army will not be used. So, in nutshell, nearly 12 to 14 divisions which we have on the Chinese border cannot use their military weapons. The Chinese, by making us sign one stupid treaty called the Peace and Tranquility Agreement, there were four of them in fact, ensured that Indian Army could never be used at all. Okay, that was one thing they did. Now, secondly, this salami slicing would go on. We did not want to construct roads, because the moment we said we want to construct roads, the Chinese would get annoyed. They said, no, 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 how can you construct road? It will militarize the area. Their roads have reached from their side up to the LAC, up to the border, while our roads were back by 70, about 100 kilometers in the Siang Valley, 200 kilometers in Suban City Valley, in all over Arunachal Pradesh. Similarly, in Ladakh, we just didn't have roads anywhere. Now, to cut the story short, government said nothing doing. I'm talking of government of India now. We started off our road activities next to the borders in a big way, and today the road communication in state of J&K is improved so drastically that I just give you a good one example. In good old times, when we used to move from Jammu to go to Kargil and Leh, which are where we are deployed, we used to take 13 to 14 days to go. Now we can go there in 4 days by road. 1 day, 8 hours from Jammu to Srinagar, 6 to 8 hours from Srinagar to Kargil, 6 to 8 hours from Kargil to Leh, 3 days by road. And if you decide to come from the other side of Punjab, that is from the area of Pathankot, then in about 8 to 10 hours you can reach from Pathankot to Leh. So what a drastic transformation. Similarly, on the Arunachal Pradesh border, I was posted on the Arunachal Pradesh border at a place called Along. It used to take about 11 days to reach there. 11 days. Now you can reach there in 13 hours. Just about last year, I decided to visit that place where I was a GSO 3 of a brigade in Arunachal Pradesh at a place called Along. Basically, those of you know Arunachal Pradesh, the Siang and the Siong Valley. And we reached in 12 hours, 3 hours flight from Pune to Guwahati, 1 hour of layover. From there, 30 minutes flight to Dibrugarh, and from Dibrugarh in 4 hours we were at Along. Unheard of. So it has improved our capacity drastically to stop the Chinese. Okay. Now my watch shows that I already spoken to you for nearly now about 38 minutes, and I must stop in the next 5 to 10 minutes, so that we can have some time for interaction. As far as physical war on the borders with China is concerned, that is, Chinese will never go in for that, because they got bashed up very badly at Galwan. While we lost 20 soldiers, including Colonel Babu, who was given Mahavir Chakra, the Chinese have lost more than 70 soldiers there that came into the Chinese social media. Okay, but we have some Shankasurs or some people who speak the Chinese language. Now, Chinese carry out against us since a long time now, what is called, there are four words that they use, what is called as the unrestricted war, also called as the grey zone warfare, or also called as the multi-domain warfare, which simply means any method can be used to ensure that India does not progress. There's a thing they carry out what is called as the information war. They try and scare you by saying China is too big. India should never go and fight a war with China. It's okay to fight a war with Pakistan. India should not build roads. India should not do this. Information war, disinformation war, then psychological war, perception management. I just give you only one or two examples of the information war, which was at its best during the Galwan, just before the Galwan crisis. Uh, there, the Chinese, Indian newspapers, please hear this carefully. We're trying to advise the news in the Times of India or Indian Express was that Chinese
Probably, yeah.
150 tanks have come on the Ladakh border. So you'd think Indian tanks were having a good time in Ahmednagar or something. They said Chinese Air Force has deployed 2 squadrons in Ladakh. Was the Indian Air Force having had gone to for a picnic in Pune or something? They said Chinese have deployed armored personnel carriers there. It was all a one-sided news without telling that whatever deployment was taking place from the Chinese, we had a mirror deployment, and we are more than adequately prepared to take on the Chinese. But our own newspapers, mainstream newspapers, for God's sake, and they were, social media was full of news. The Chinese have come on finger number 4, finger number 3, finger number 2, maybe Galwan and China's activity there. We could speak some other time. But this was all false, all wrong. Now they have failed to, achieve their aim of trying to dishearten the army, dishearten the government, and dishearten the people of the country. That they could not succeed. Now, China carries out what is called as the economic war. The economic war would be a separate subject. China carries out what is called as the sabotage activity. China carries out what is called as the water wars. China carries out what is called as infiltrating into our neighborhood, be it Sri Lanka. Latest example being Maldives, and creating problems for us. China is trying to fuel the Naxal insurgency, Naxalism in the middle part of the country, called as Naxalism or the Maoism or left-wing extremism or left-wing terrorism. The name given by Naxals to themselves is Maoist. Maoist. The name is Maoist. They swear by the Maoist. Remember that. Okay. Then trying to help Pakistan by creating a problem for us in the state of J&K, trying to get their Reiki vessels into our area, etc. So this is called as Tirizon warfare. Called as, it is short of firing a weapon. There is no weapons that are being fired on the borders. While the Indian army, when they beat the Chinese army on the border, they do boxing, they do wrestling, they hit each other, etc. Troops get. In fact, this time during the Army Day, two of the units got unit citation. That was for basically doing something on the Chinese border. That is, having a fist fight with the Chinese and still protecting our borders. So now this is a multi-domain war which they are carrying out against us. Now I'll come down to the this war. How long? Physical war, you don't need to worry, but it is the multi-domain war that is where we need to worry, and that is not which is this thing. Now I'll stop here and only tell you this, that what can the citizens do. That is what I would like to tell you. I mean, common citizens, today we must boycott the Chinese goods, uh, 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 whichever part of the district area. Be Indian, buy Indian. Why can't the Chinese good be boycotted? There is many reasons for it. Okay. Secondly, you should, all of you are information warriors. Meaning anything wrong about the country, do not get perturbed. There are nothing. I mean, we are more than capable of taking care of our security needs, be it internal, be it external. Do not fall victim to the warfare that takes place on the social media. Okay, have a faith in your Indian army. Have a faith in your government. Have a faith in your capability to defend your borders, etc. Okay, that is the second aspect. Third aspect is always ask a question as to what I can do for the country. Unfortunately, today our country is hit by a wave of demonstration, which we call it as the agitational terrorism, in which they ask something. Today, the farmers, so-called farmers, are blocked those two roads coming into the national capital region, and those of you from Delhi would know it. Okay. Uh, Okay, what I do is now, no, we are not moving on to the topic, Uttam. This is a multi-domain war. They are making a fool of you by not fighting a physical war, but they are trying to incite activities inside your countries using your own people to sort of carry out blockades, etc., and hurting your economy. Let me tell you, 3,000 crores to 4,000 crores is what you spend, what is the loss that is taking place to the country by this so-called agitation which is taking place there. Okay, now I'll stop here and invite some questions, and I can already see that in uh, in the I
We do
cannot
have
see
in the
the
chat, sir.
my chat box.
Yeah,
Is my chat
no
box?
problem, sir. I can read those
Yeah,
over to you.
yeah. I can see. I can see the chat box. Yeah, no, Himanshu,
You
no, I
can?
can see the chat box. It was not being seen. Now
All
I
right.
can see it. I'll just take the
Okay.
questions quickly. Okay, I'll first I'll start from the bottom. Okay. Uh, I'll start from the bottom. Okay. Uttam was saying we are moving out of the topic. No, for God's sake, understand the multi-domain war. I won't be able to explain it to you here. The aim is to utilize your own people. China manages to infiltrate into your social media, into your mainstream media. There are newspapers which are paid for by the Chinese. We cannot infiltrate into their. There is any anti-Indian articles which take place will be published in the Indian media. But can any anti-Chinese article ever be published in the paper called Global Times? No. Chinese come into our Facebook. Chinese come onto our YouTube. Can we go into the Chinese social media? You even cannot enter their social media. So forget about it. They are a lot smarter than what we think they are. They have infiltrated into our system, but we are not able to infiltrate into their system. Now, MH said, thanks for a few questions. I'll request more questions as soon as you solve the address. Then, yeah, Abhinav is asked a question. Do you think, sir, the strategy has changed in recent times because we have seen surgical strikes taking place, which I think were not possible at olden times? Question is, has the strategy changed? Yeah, it definitely is. There was a great strategy. There's a great thinker called Dr. Josh Denham. He says India does not have a strategic policy. India cannot think strategically, and he gave a lot of examples. And what he simply said was, India is a soft country. When they are slapped on the left cheek, they show right cheek, and then they use a term called strategic restraint. Some great thinkers before 2014 used to say we should show restraint. We are a big country. Nonsense. Countries like Pakistan and China, diplomacy will not work. They only understand the language of force. Diplomacy may work with other countries, with Europe, with America, and all that kind of a thing. And our foreign minister is doing a good job, but not with China and Pakistan. So strategy is definitely changed. And as far as the multi-domain strategy is concerned, we are trying to do a lot of things, including reducing our dependency on China. But that somehow we are not succeeding because of many reasons. Be Indian, buy Indian, securing our supply chains will take some time because our manufacturing sector had been killed by the Chinese from 2001 onward. All our small scale sector, all our middle scale sector was killed. I'll just give you two examples as to how it was killed. We had a world class company called BHEL, Bharat Heavy Electrical Limited, and all our power plants at that point of time, the power plants used to come from BHEL. BHEL was killed, and the Chinese power plant started coming into our country. Well, and a world-class company was stopped. We had a company called CDAC. It was doing very, very well as far as the telecommunications was concerned. This company was also killed. Well, now we are doing a lot of things like PLI, etc., productive link incentive. So the manufacturing sector under Make in India, under Atmanirbhar Bharat is coming up, but the progress is definitely going to be slow. We will take some time to, let's say, build up a manufacturing sector which can compete and by which we can supply, we can let's say protect our supply chains. I'll just give you one example. Today, one of you could have asked a question: what is happening on the Ukraine front, Ukraine war? The Ukraine war, the situation is very simple. Ukrainian army does not have an ammunition, and even the Russian army does not have an ammunition. The Europe has finished all the ammunition that it had by giving it to this thing. Americans' ammunition is finished. Now there is no ammunition left. They're talking to each other. So similarly, as far as the Israel and the Hamas thing is concerned, they carry out some operations then again stop because they also don't have adequate ammunition. As simple as that. When a break takes place under the name of carrying out negotiations, it is simply because they don't have adequate ammunition. So the whole world ammunition is finished. That is the whole issue. And now getting ammunition, the Russia is trying to get it from North Korea, etc. So we need to ensure that our critical supply chain is secured when a long war takes place, especially critical chains like semiconductors, critical minerals, and most important, our energy security. Today, 85% of our oil comes from outside, and only 15% is manufactured inside India. So that is what we really have to do. And recently, we are trying to improve our energy mix. Energy security would be a separate subject. We are going into an energy mix which consists of diesel, petrol, also liquefied natural gas, also LPG, etc., also solar top energy, etc., so that it is more balanced. And a problem coming up in one sector, we are still able to function as a nation. Okay. Energy security would be another subject. Now, I can see one question by Madhav Raj, if I pronounce the name correctly. How can a normal civilian help in securing the nation apart from a military war? Don't worry about military war at all. You don't need to worry about that. There are capable leaders who are more than capable of taking care of our needs. Okay. You don't need to worry about the physical war where Army, Navy, and Air Force would be war. You don't need to worry about that. Though, of course, there's a lot of scope for improvement, but you don't need to worry. It's a very famous statement which was used by General Malik during the Kargil war when he was asked a question, General, do you have sufficient arms, ammunition, weapons, etc.? So he said, don't worry, we will fight with what we have and we will fight well. So that thing still stands now. A lot of improvement has taken place, but still more improvement would be required. But that should be the least of your worries. Now the least of the word that you use here, narrative warfare. Yes, that is where they try and tell you, you should not do this, you should not do that, you should be scared of people, you should do this. Now that is where a fair amount of, just imagine, today, just about few days back, our Prime Minister was there in Qatar, and those naval officers who were caught for so-called spying had been released. Now, it was a victory of our comprehensive national power, which is increasing simply because Qatar realized that it would be better to have India as a friend than an enemy. And thereafter, one of the biggest deal was ever signed for the CNG, compressed natural gas, basically. and we are getting gas from there at a very cheap rate. A long-term contract has been signed. So energy security, which takes uses various sources like the Middle East, like the like let's say Australia, like using USA, increasing production inside. This kind of a thing is required, which is what is taking place. So that will take some time. But now coming back to what a normal citizen can do, I will tell you firstly two things. The simplest thing is that uh, when you if a country wants to become great, how does countries become great? So there's a research done on that. So the short summary of the research is, okay, countries become great when a common citizen uh, tries to do something for the country. Now what does it simply mean? It means he obeys rules and regulations. He does what he's supposed to be doing and supposed to be doing well. Now, what is doing well means, suppose you are a student, some of you may be student, you should be the best student in the whole world. And the best student ever is supposed to be Arjuna. Arjuna, you must have heard of Arjuna Award being given. Arjuna was the best student. So you should try and become better than Arjuna. Suppose you are a professor teaching somewhere, then you should be better than Dronacharya. Dronacharya was considered the ultimate teacher as far as teaching was concerned. Even in the corporate world, you should be better than Satya Nadella and Sundar Pichai. All the top IITians of ours were going abroad and becoming CEOs of the top 500 companies because they thought India was not up to the mark and where it could not do justice. Today, so it was called a brain drain at that point of time. Today, a reverse drain is started. I hope you know that Satya Nadella, the boss of Microsoft, was in India just some time back, and he says India is going to be a superpower of artificial intelligence, and he requires more than 2 lakh people for doing various activities in artificial intelligence. He talked about 4 technologies: quantum computing, artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, space warfare, etc. Now, to cut the story short, the major base for developing this technology right from inception till the further this thing is going to be India as far as Microsoft is concerned. The Google boss Sundar Pichai was there. He talked something similar on the similar lines. The foreign direct investment today in India is at one of the highest rates. Technology transfer, which is taking place at a reasonably good place. So therefore, our bright people today should make our country great by improving the productivity of our corporate world. Today, we are still not world class as far as our corporate world is concerned because of problems of skilled labor, because of problems of capital, because of problems of quality of our CEOs. But there are just about 3 sectors in which India is world class. One is the automotive sector, second is the softwares, and third, surprisingly, is the missile technology. Okay, but other sectors we need to go a lot ahead. Then, if you are, let's say, a farmer, you should be more qualified, let's say, than a farmer of Japan. If you are a, let's say, any field, every field, you have to be the best so that good citizens taking part in various fields will ensure that the sector goes. Today, our infrastructure sector under the leadership of Nitin Gadkari is doing so well. Road communications, has improved drastically. And let me also tell you the rail communication to Kashmir, it will be through in a short while. They're talking of a date of April. If that happens, you can reach from Delhi to Srinagar in 12 hours. Today our Indian airports are looking like local railway stations of Mumbai. So much of crowd is there, so much of activities taking place there. So basically, each sector, every sector, we just have to be world class. Now there are some very mundane things I will talk about as to what you can do as a citizen. Be Indian, buy everything which is this thing. Instead of going in for Amazon, going for Indian companies which are doing Amazon kind of a job. Then be a water warrior. Water security today is at its peril. Big cities are facing a water problem. Save water. How to save water? I don't need to tell you about it. Contribute in energy security. Have a solar rooftop electricity being generated in your building. If it's a single story, nothing like it. If it's staying in a society, maybe on the top of the your terrace, etc. Energy for energy security, water security. food security, ensure that you not do not buy exotic things, and a lot of times vegetable market crashes because of overproduction. That time maybe you can buy extra vegetable and use that vegetable, because vegetable market, fruit market at times crashes, tomato market at times crashes, So keep your eyes and ears open and try and help out the farmers. Try and buy to produce directly from the farmers. There are farmers markets which are taking place all over, so maybe you can be a part of that. Okay. Then follow the rules, of the road. Today, one of the most unruly mob is there in our city. Every traffic rule is broken. I'm in the city of Pune, and as a policy, never move in Pune during the peak hours, because everybody goes crazy, and there are 100 Chakravyuhas that are formed, which nobody can ever solve till the time some traffic police comes from somewhere. Our city's traffic is going for a six because of indiscipline of this thing. Of course, one reason is everybody's got cars. So in Pune, there are 40 lakh people, but there are 45 lakhs car. So I'm still trying to understand as to who's poor in Pune. But well, that's a separate question. The number of cars, because the roads in the cities cannot increase, you know, metros are taking place, but will take its own time. Nobody wants to share a transport. Everybody wants to take his own vehicle. If you see, you'll be surprised to see our public transport is always half empty. I mean, imagine buses running with 10 people or 15 people, except the peak hours, of course. Okay. During peak hours, they do run. So Indians have become rich. I'm still trying to find out where are the poor people, because some people try and tell you there are poor people. The maids in our society, the free ration which government of India gives, they don't eat it. They sell it to the shopkeepers there only and earn some money out of it, because they feel they can afford to buy better rations. Okay. So basically, in day-to-day life, try and do something positive activities, following the rules of traffic, following the rules of the country, pay income tax, be honest, don't give bribes, do not, do something wrong, what is wrong, join Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. Everybody knows what is to be done here. I mean, you should not spit, you should not make things dirty, but you clean our house and dirty the environment. Help in the ecology. Do not buy plastic. Do not take anything which is made of plastic, etc. I mean, there are hundreds of things which we can do. What I'll do is, since the time will be at a short this thing, I'll share a presentation of mine with you. You can read that article of mine. There's nothing very great. It is just a collation of points from all over. But there are small, small things which you can do in day-to-day life. That is the point that I'm trying to make, which will help the country a hell of a lot. Okay. So this is what I suppose you can do. But the most important task is, whichever field you go, try and become world class, so that you are able to make that sector as world class. That is the shortest advice that I would have. Yeah. Any other question?
I don't think, sir, there are other questions here. And you very comprehensively covered these questions, and wanted to say thank you to you. We are coming at the end of the meeting time, but just reiterating what you just said, becoming world class, especially since my work location is in North America. So I can tell you that world class is what really sells. So to make sure that as the warriors that we all want to become, what Brigadier Mahajan has indicated, that's where Bharat will be. That's where Bharat is going to be. So what we need to contribute has to be excellence in whatever sphere that we do, and that excellence, what he has really touched upon, is something when you're driving and we don't even stop before if we don't stop before the white line. I think that is also part of the small day-to-day excellence. So please do that. But sir, thank you so much. I don't see any other question, but I'll give a couple seconds in case there is
Yeah,
something
Himanshu,
from anyone.
I just have, Himanshu, I just share one line with you. I touched
Sure.
upon many things like unrestricted warfare, multi-domain warfare, economic this thing, etc., etc. I use quite a few terms, and obviously because of lack of time, one could not talk about it. But what you can people do, anybody who's interested in studying these topics, go on the YouTube and put my name there, Brigadier Hemant Mahajan, YSF. You will find I have a YouTube channel in which there are more than 900 videos are there. Okay, they're in Hindi, Marathi, and English. So those of you who, if the title of the video is in English, the video will be in English. If it's in Marathi, those who don't understand Marathi, just skip it. And so there are, and I've been talking, and my YouTube channel actually became active post. I did not talk about the biological warfare which China launched against India, in which it killed 8 lakh Indians. You don't need to fight a war, conventional war. Biological warfare is good enough. Corona, as some people called it, or somebody called it COVID-19, but actually the correct name is Chinese virus. But people don't know the correct name. Okay, so anyway, you go on the YouTube. Anybody interested, have a look at it. There's adequate material, and not only that, I have a blog also, brickhemanmajan.blogspot.com. uh, you understand, brickhemanmajan.blogspot.com. You'll see my face there, and there are adequate number of articles there. And more importantly, I keep on updating it every week. About 10-15 articles will be added to the blog, and it is only about national security. I repeat again, only about national security, because national security means water security, energy security, environmental security, food security, and so on and so forth. And my YouTube also about it. So since one cannot talk about these things, do have a look at it, and for those who are for the study. Yeah, any more questions, please?
All right, so none have come, sir. So we wanted to say thank you to you from myself and the team. And we look forward to receiving your presentation that you indicated, sir. And I'm sure some of us would have the time and the interest to go through your YouTube channel, as well as the publications that you have. So thank you so much, sir. And thank you, participants, for spending your time on a Sunday evening India time and Sunday morning North America time. So
yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
We'll close it now.
Thank you. Thank you, and Jai. Okay. See you. Bye-bye. I'll leave. If at all there is a recording, you can send me the YouTube link. Okay. Yeah.
Will do, sir.
Thank you,
Yeah.
and Jai.
Thank you, sir.